is Aiden Morris, a future Boro captain. Welcome back to our Boro Walk. Josh says he seems to be the main man, not only in the team huddles, but in the entire game. Rob Edwards is screaming tactics at him throughout the whole match. Daniel says he is definitely a Boro captain of the future. Let us know your thoughts. Welcome back to 20 minutes of Middlesbrough chat. Undefeated, the best start to a season ever. Are we starting to believe yet, everybody? We'll get these guys' thoughts on it in a second. If you're a very happy Middlesbrough fan and you can squeeze 20 minutes of more Middlesbrough podcast into your life, please do so by hitting subscribe and putting your notifications on as we review the West Brom game. We've got Jonathan and Sarah back with us, and delighted to have Richard alongside us as well as an additional voice. How are you, Richard? Are you a believer yet? Are you getting your Premier League party ready at the end of the season?
Well, I was going to say the hotel's booked for Wembley, but I think I'll probably jinx it if I say that. So maybe we'll just stick to, I think like Sarah said last week, we're just going to go up at Wrexham, aren't we, in the last game of the season?
Fantastic.
So yeah, I'm a believer, Mark. I'm a believer. Yes.
Super. Coming up this week then is Aiden Morris, a future captain of the Boro. Ayling has been revitalized. What's going on there? And Rob Edwards lifting spirits, not just for the football club, but around the town as well. Plus, in the comments, please, which player deserves more praise? Which one have we not shouted out yet that deserves far more credit for the shift they're putting in? Right, let's jump straight into it, shall we then? Jonathan, the West Brom game's been, it's a long time ago now. It feels a long time ago. Alex Scott says 4 points clear, and Ham Sandwich Face got beat in the first game back. If Carling did weekends, yeah. Isn't that mean? What impressed you the most, Jonathan?
Oh, everything really. Look, we've got better players than we got last season. We've got a harder work rate. You know, it was a tough game. West Brom are a good team, but you know what? That quality, that little bit of quality when you needed it, sticking the ball in the net, just showed in those couple of moments. Edwards did his changes. The team worked their backside off, and they got what they deserved. So I can't complain, to be honest with you. Happy. That was my abiding memory. It wasn't the greatest watch, I have to say, but it was solid, and liked it.
Sarah, that second goal was Barcelona-esque, was it not?
It was a fantastic goal. I didn't actually fully appreciate it on the night because I sit in the North Stand, so I was at the other end of the pitch. But my God, I saw what Conway did, but my goodness, when I watched it back, and even Hackney's little drive back, very Morgan Rogers-esque, I thought it was a tremendous goal. And it was a great finish as well. Fair play to Sen. Great finish. So, super goal.
Yeah, Morgan Roberts is rubbish now as well, isn't he? Right then, Richard, is Aiden Morris a future Boro captain? Let's jump into our title story.
He most definitely is. And I think he's probably been, I'm surprised he hasn't been made a captain before now. You can see him always talking to people. It was very interesting the moment that Sen scored the second goal. He went right up to him. So in the middle of celebrating, other people were going around him. He was yelling instructions in Sen's ear. He was not celebrating with him. He was yelling instructions about what to do next. I just thought that is just typical. That's really good leadership. You can see him every time Rob Edwards, he's always communicating with him. He does with Ayling as well. Obviously, Ayling is the captain in Fry's absence. But I'm not sure about this idea of Rob Edwards has got about rotating captains around. I think as fans, I think we like to kind of know we've got, one captain, one leader. We have lots of leaders on the pitch, but one sort of named captain. And I thought Fry did incredibly well. I think Ayling does incredibly well as a captain too, but I think Aiden Morris, I'm just surprised he hasn't been made captain before now. I think he's tremendous.
So
probably our best signing.
You just spotted a weakness in Rob Edwards. Is that what you're saying, Richard?
Oh, we wouldn't ever go that far, Sarah, as you well know.
What about you, Jonathan? Future captain?
Yeah, you know what I liked about Morris? I obviously what you see on the pitch, but after Sheffield United, he gave a right good interview and basically demonstrated his mentality. And his mentality was, look, I can go up another level. I've got self-belief. And even though I beat Sheffield United, I enjoyed 2 minutes of the win, but already I'm thinking about Preston away. And you know, I don't like to talk about, Man United, but it reminded me of the Ferguson lot, Giggs, Neville, Keane, they were all of that mentality. They were all like, yeah, we won the Champions League, but what next? And Morris seems to have that about him. So, he's growing in stature. He's growing as a player, and he's got all the credentials for sure.
Okay. If you're watching this in America, and you're a Boro fan. We're trying to find an American Boro fan here. We want you to come on and give us your view of how he's viewed over there, because he's set up in the American team. Josh Sargent isn't doing well, didn't do very well in the last international. I wonder if Aiden Morris is becoming the main man over there. Right then, so let's switch gears a little bit then and talk about Ayling. Richard says it's one thing to get the goal, but Ayling's header was the icing on the proverbial cake.
Yes.
He's been absolutely revitalised this season, and he's looking like the player he always was. Striker's going to be awesome for us too. More on him in a minute. But yeah, let's talk about Ayling, shall we?
I mean, he is, for me at least, I think behind Morris, our player of the season. Morris is clear away with that, unfortunately. But I think he's excellent. I think he's been excellent. I think we always thought he could play right centre back. I think a lot of us thought that. Because he said it himself in his interview after the game. Right back is no longer his area. He can't be bombing on and doing all the things he can at his age now. But he's been tremendous. He's revitalised under Rob Edwards. He had a really poor season last season, and I think he looks like the player we had on loan season prior to that now. And he's enjoying it. You can see he's enjoying it. So I'm delighted, because he's a great guy as well. Great guy to have around the team. Great guy to have on the pitch. But yeah, loving Luke Ayling at the minute. You
got to say as well, that interview afterwards, he said, I want to play right centre back. So playing a player where he wants to play has got to be good for him too, So he's kind of repaying him by saying, brilliant, you're playing me where I want to play. And that must have helped his psyche for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as the attacking play, Richard, is something to like, lots of fans are saying it's actually the defence which are enjoying the most. The fact that you aren't like candy floss or tissue paper anymore like you were last year, and you can just be bombed through that with Britain in there as well. He's been an astute signing, hasn't he? This defence is quite formidable.
I'll tell you who I think goes under the radar an awful lot, because we don't often talk about him, and that's Alfie Jones. And I think Alfie Jones has been. I'm going to start just saying Morris is one of the best signings we've ever made. I'm probably going to go through and list about 10 others as well, but I do think Jones has just been one of those solid championship defenders. And I think fundamentally one of the differences we've got this year is that we look like a championship team. We don't look like we look a bit scruffy. We look a bit like we can get our kind of get the tackles in a bit. It doesn't look like we're trying to be Barcelona, even though that second goal was obviously Barcelona-esque. It just looks like we're a championship team. And I think that it starts at the defence. Sol Brynn has been incredible. I always rated Sol Brynn. A very good friend of mine is a Swindon fan. He was on loan at Swindon. Was it 2 seasons ago? I went and watched him play for Swindon, and he was impressive then. But he's just sort of stepped up. And I think we've got a solid goalkeeper, although that is a weak position, because I think if we lose Bryn, we've lost that sort of bit of the defence. But I kind of think that Alfie Jones just quietly gets on about it. He's not classy, he just is solid, and he is a really, really, really good championship defender. So yeah,
brilliant. There's some bruises as well, Jonathan, coming out of the game. It's a bit of a shine of that, isn't it?
Yeah, he took a right old whack, didn't he? I didn't actually know until I saw it on TV that what a shiner he had. But Rob Edwards saying he literally couldn't see out his eye. But the good stuff was he came on, and that's his first start of the season, and you wouldn't have known it was his first start of the season. He was in the thick of it, and I think it was his foot that got in the way within the first few minutes. West Brom, Bryn made a save, and it was Edmondson whose foot kind of put the striker off his shot on goal. So yeah, I enjoyed seeing him back, to be honest with you, and I bet he was glad to be back. But yeah, he got a shiner for his work.
And
here's another one. Sorry.
Yeah, but I was just going to say, long ball throwing. I don't know. I can't remember the last time Boris scored a throw like that.
Yeah, stats we've always mourned about last few seasons, set pieces. We've done 4 set piece goals already this season. We only did 8 of the entire last season, so it's definitely a difference. Proper chat. That's like you're saying, it's a championship team, isn't it? It's a credential of a championship team. You've got to do
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say as well that I think George Edmondson sort of epitomises the kind of steel that we've got on the battle, that we've got that kind of battle hardy approach, which we didn't have last season. And I really enjoyed watching lots of football under Carrick, but we were very, very soft, particularly last season. We are not soft this season, and I think George Edmondson sort of epitomises that kind of with his eye that he couldn't see out of. I think he called the ref over because I don't think he wanted to go off clearly, but I think he was just highlighting the fact he literally could not see. and it closed up in a few minutes. But he wanted to stay on. And I think Rob Edwards said afterwards that was the thing, and that's what we need. If we're going to get out of this division, we need players that are going to be, up for the battle, really, because it's not about pretty football to get out of the Championship. It's about getting, through the tough times. So.
Boom. One more on the West Brom game, Sarah. Strelic, what did we learn about his game?
He had a difficult first half, ironically. He scored, obviously, so that's amazing. But he didn't really get a lot of opportunities, and I think Edwards took him off because he wasn't having an impact. Maybe that's unfair, but he didn't feel like he had too much of an impact. Trying to find his way around, he just looks like a player, I must admit. But yeah, he did all right. I did all right. But one thing I wanted to say was two new goal scorers on Friday night, 2 first goals for the team. 10 different goal scorers in 6 games we've had. We were very concerned about losing Finn Azaz's goal contributions, but we've spread it around the team now. And I think that's the most impressive thing we can talk about, that the new signings are all doing very well, and we are really spreading it around. It's just a pleasure to watch the team at the minute.
Mado made a point about Strelic, and I thought it was quite interesting, actually, is that, so Craig last week said he reminded me of Bocic, and Bocic was definitely a stroller around the park. He was very finesse, and you can see Strelic has got the technical capability, but I'm curious about his work rate and whether, I think the half-time thing, whilst Edwards will never say, that might have been a little bit about, how much he's going to do when we're protecting a lead. And actually maybe Sene does a better job than Strelic with, and maybe Strelic needs to get up to speed with that. So I'm not saying Strelic won't do it, but maybe he's not quite up to that.
He's no Tommy Conway in the chasing the ball down. Let's put it that way. He definitely conserves his energy for sure.
Yeah. I think that might be his issue in an Edwards team, is that he can play 9, but I don't know if he'll put him as a 10, because a 10's got to do a bit of tracking back and a bit of work, and Strelic has got to learn that for sure, I think.
Okay. We're going to head to the South Coast then next to take on a Southampton team that have just been battered and mauled by the Tigers. Richard, what sort of ovation or non-ovation will Finn Azaz get?
He's loved so much, as we know, by Middlesbrough fans, and that's so I'm sure he'll get a rapturous round of applause. And Mark, we all know that he's going to come on and he's going to have a worldie. So he's had a complete stinker thus far, but I think it's safe to say he's probably going to have the blinder for next week. So
Aiden Morris will have his card mark.
Southampton fans are not happy with him, and if you've seen some of their comments about him so far, they've called him lazy, one of the worst signings we've ever made. One fan put it.
Who knew that?
To be fair, I must admit, Finn Azaz was excellent for us at times. So we I'm a little bit reticent to just kick him, but he didn't do well with his goodbye messages and things. But he was excellent for the Boro, to be fair.
Okay. And of course, some Southampton fans want Michael Carrick in by Saturday by the time you come visiting. So that would be interesting if that turn event's happening.
Double do event.
Yeah. How do you see this game going then, Jonathan? I mean, I know they haven't started well, but it is a parachute payment team that have assembled quite a squad there. Take a point.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, look, the way we're going at the minute, I think first thing you look for is probably clean sheet, to be honest with you, and then you fancy us to nick a goal given the talent we've got on the pitch. So, look, if they play to the plan and keep the work ethic up, I think Southampton will be as kind of mindful as us as we perhaps are of them. And Southampton, I guess, won't have the confidence either. So, there's nothing to say we can't continue the run, but everyone in the back of everyone's mind, no doubt about it, is we're going to lose one. Something's going to drop somewhere along the line. Even Edwards has mentioned it, to say something's going to go somewhere. So maybe it's this weekend. I don't expect it, and there's nothing to suggest it will be this weekend. But the optimism is strong, and with every reason it should be.
All right, Richard, can I ask you, when Rob Edwards was announced as being the next Boro manager, were you underwhelmed?
I was very much for keeping Michael Carrick on. I thought Carrick lacked a bit of support around him and his backroom staff, which a lot of people have spoken about. I was not underwhelmed by Rob Edwards. I think I was sort of blindsided by the fact I was disappointed that Carrick had gone. But I can't speak highly enough of Rob Edwards. Rob Edwards has just been sensational. He is that Championship manager. He knows how to get out of leagues as well. So I've been thoroughly impressed with him.
Yeah, the comments flew in this week. Sarah, Kieran says a big thank you to the new gaffer. Wonder how all the Carrick fanboys and girls are thinking now. Rob Edwards is superb. You can see from his personality and his enthusiasm he's going to do well. Glenn says, I'll sit here and laugh at those a few months ago moaning about this appointment. And there was another one which I didn't manage to grab about he's actually changed people's mental health and the belief of the club. People were not thinking of coming back to the Borough this year because the project was failed after year and year. And, you know, it does... It brings you up and it slaps you down, football. But when times are good like this, you have to remember, don't you, that it means a massive thing for a club of Borough size doing well.
It's such a good point, actually, because after the game on Friday night, the joy around the stadium was incredible. I mean, it was a fantastic atmosphere on Friday night as well. But just the people are really happy. I mean, you know, people were hugging each other. It was extraordinary. You'd think we'd want to come. But it was just, I think we just had a couple of bad years. And I think Rob Edwards is, I mean, I was one of those people, you know, I did not want Carrick to go. I was not for Edwards. But he's won me over massively. And I think he has done an incredible job at bringing the club, the staff, the supporters. It's actually quite a masterclass in how to manage. And he's just been absolutely tremendous and led with everything he's done. Even the Whittaker incident is somehow he's come out smelling of roses. It's just done. He hasn't put a foot wrong so far, it would seem, and long may it continue.
Okay. I mean, with that hoodie on, Jonathan, you could be excused to, you could be mistaken for him. From
Rob Edwards hoodie. I did. It's Castori pulled a blinder by having a sale on, haven't they? So you're like, I'll have one of them. So it's not the 32 red one, which is about, I don't know what's that in the Borough shop, but I bought one online, and I think they're dotted all over the stadium. I think there's a fair few Rob Edwards. I like the look of that hoodie people. So yeah, but it's also a good strength as well, because you're right. There's us three. We're all Carrick fans, but we've all moved on as well. So thanks very much for those memories. But actually, glad to have Edwards and full steam ahead.
Yeah.
Michael, who?
Yeah, exactly right. Kind of mental strength when you can move on like
that. Finally, then this week we're asking you at home watching this in the comments, please. Who's the player which we haven't shouted out on here yet? We've shouted out nearly the whole team yet, so this might be difficult. Richard, you've already given yours, which is great. Sarah?
Oh, Richard stole my thunder. I was going to say Alfie Jones also. Not because for me, he stood out particularly, but I think he's the one that hasn't so far took the plaudits. We've had Callum Britton celebrated. We've had Matt Targett celebrated even. Obviously, Strelitz and Sen have scored the goals, but Alfie Jones is he hasn't put a foot wrong. I watched him at Rangers pre-season and I thought, what a player this lad is. I mean, we'd heard some mixed reaction from some Hull fans, I think. Some said good, but some said, we're glad to be rid and all these kind of things, which I can't believe now watching him. He has been unbelievable. He heads everything. Some said he didn't have pace. Well, that's not what I've seen. I just think he's absolutely brilliant, but he's definitely been a bit of an unsung hero because he hasn't really made the headlines, I would think. But yeah, definitely for me, Alfie Jones.
That's 2 for Alfie Jones. Jonathan?
Well, yeah, it was hard, wasn't it? Like you said, and just there when you asked the question, because I went through the 11 and I thought, yeah, you're right, Jones maybe not quite as much, but everyone's had the plaudits. So I'd go elsewhere, you know what I mean? I'd go with Vivash and Watling as the unsung heroes. And rightly, they don't take the limelight, but and I'd go Chris Jones as well, because there's two big differences with this team. Is one, we've got better players, and two, they play better than they did last season. So what's that about? Well, that's about coaching, and that's about who we've signed. So obviously Kieran Scott gets a lot of limelight, and obviously Rob Edwards does too. But you've got to believe, I don't know how the dynamic works, but it clearly does work. But Vivash and Watling must have a big influence on them players and how they're playing. And Jones is part of that engine that gets them in through the door and gets the signature on the paper to help Kieran Scott. So I'd go with them, the lads behind the scenes.
Yeah, it was part of Mark Robins' team, wasn't it? And when he left, him, Coventry fell apart. So
yeah, it did.
Harold's something good going on there.
Yeah, for
Brilliant.
Sure.
Right. Well, enjoy your trip down to Southampton. What time the coach is leaving for that one? Anyone?
6 a.m. I can tell you that. Yeah.
And then the week after, they've got bloody Portsmouth away with Stoke at home in between. It's a bonkers week for Borough, I tell you.
Right. Join us next week then as we review how the game at Southampton has gone. Thank you very much for your company again this week. Yeah, it's exciting times at the Borough. Can't wait to see how far this. I'm sure there'll be bumps in the road, won't there? But we'll be with you every step of every step of the way. Do drop us a subscribe, drop us a like, and let us know any other player you think deserves some more flowers. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy St Mary's.